Hey guys, my name is Hannah and you guys do not know me yet, but actually I'm showing you guys some scary facts of videos. And yes, I'm going to be showing you it right now. So let's just go get onto the video because I'm pretty sure you guys want to watch some scary videos. Let's go. Oh gosh, you can't hear it.
I moved out of my parents' house once I started making a steady paycheck. I'm a plumber, and one day I had to go to someone's house to fix some pipes. There was a married couple and their daughter living there. Their daughter was 22 at the time. She was 6 months older than me, and her name was Amanda. While I was working, she was talking to me, asking if I was single and stuff like that. To be honest, she seemed pretty cute. We exchanged phone numbers and eventually started dating, and she even moved into my house. We were 3 months into our relationship, and stuff started to get out of hand. She was always getting mad and annoyed so easily. She always started arguments, and so on. This began to happen all the time, even in public, which was incredibly embarrassing. One day I had enough, and I had to break up with her, and I told her to leave and never come back. Amanda was pretty pissed off when I said that. I just ignored her when she was packing her stuff. She finally left, or so I thought. After that day, she would always show up at my house, harass me, throw rocks at my window, and so on. I called the cops many times, but she was gone by the time they showed up. About a month later, when I came home from working, I would find her in her house, yelling at me to come back, or I'd find writing on my walls that would say, "Come back, or I'll kill you." The writing eventually went from pencil to marker, and then around fucking blood. And Jess, I'm being serious when I said blood. That bitch carved my name a bunch of times into her arms and legs. She only got into my house because I forgot to take the house keys back from her at the time. In hindsight, I'm such an idiot. I know. That psycho knew where my parents lived and showed up to their house during the night. My mom almost had a heart attack when she woke up. The sound of a knife being tapped on the window glass. When she woke up, she saw Amanda standing there, staring at her, while psychotically smiling at her. Amanda did a lot, which really pissed me off. So one night, I decided to stay overnight at my parents' house. It was about 2 in the morning when I heard a tapping noise on the window next to me. I turned and saw Amanda staring right at me. Her eyes were wide open and red. She had bags in her eyes and a huge smile. I went outside and started yelling at her to stay away from me and my family, but she screamed at the top of her lungs and charged at me with a knife. I punched her right in the face, which knocked her out. I called the cops and made sure Amanda
You really
didn't wake up
shouldn't
while they
do
were there.
that.
The
That's
cops
a
came
girl.
quickly while Amanda was knocked out. They found my house key on her, and she was arrested and eventually sentenced for a long while. After Amanda was sentenced, my parents and I moved out of state because we'd like to stay as far away from Amanda as we possibly can, because she will eventually be released.
That's scary. Where's our mother?
This happened to me at the beginning of this year, just after I lost my husband to meningitis. I had moved in with my father and taken a job at a local hotel. It was a nice, cushy job that wasn't very stressful, and it was also nice to me in my grief-stricken state. The job was the night shift front desk manager position. So I was watching scary movies or listening to creepy podcasts that seemed to help keep me awake. My husband had never liked scary things like I did, so it was nice getting back to something that was mine. Being the night worker, I was always by myself during my shift. The hotel was new, so it wasn't creepy to be by myself, especially since there was always someone around as far as guests went. And on top of that, my boss was always a phone call away. I knew I'd have backup if needed. Anyway, it was a night like any other. I was in the back office behind the desk, watching the cameras and listening to a podcast while twirling a pen around, waiting for hours to tick away. The hotel was pretty empty, so I felt more alone than usual. I looked down at my phone as my podcast ended and went to pick another one when I noticed movement outside the building on the cameras. A guest was walking in. I hadn't seen a car pull in from the driveway camera, but I chalked it up to me just not paying attention and went to the desk. The man walked in, and I quickly noticed his clothes were dirty, tattered, and that he had this odd smell to him, metallic smelling. I shook off the weird feeling and looked up at his face before greeting him, and I noticed that his eyes weren't on me, but the wall behind, just above me. I followed his gaze, wondering what he could be looking at, but there wasn't anything there. I was confused, but thought maybe he was lost in thought. I greeted him again, but his gaze still remained on the wall. I was starting to get freaked out. I got my coat and cleared my throat. Sir, is there something I can help you with?
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to
I
stop the
asked
video
more
right here, but
firmly.
I'll let you watch the rest.
Quickly, his eyes flicked down and his eyes were wide and crazy looking. It startled me enough that I took a small step back. His previously blank expression grew into that of a crazed, wide smile. He was missing teeth, and the second his lips parted, I could smell his rotten breath. It made my stomach churn. Before I could open my mouth, I watched his eyes slowly creep up and down my body, as if he were undressing me with his eyes. Then his eyes moved to my hand, and his smile faded into a hate-filled glare. His eyes were on my wedding ring. Well, yes, I still wore it, as I wasn't ready to give it up yet. What the heck is that? He asked, his voice thick and gruff and full of anger. My wedding ring, sir. I am married, I said, thinking maybe he was drunk. His glare got worse as his eyes met mine again. Married? You lying bitch. You never told me you were married. You lied to me. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm afraid that I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I was so scared at that moment, but tried desperately not to cry. He was still shouting at me. So, you're kicking me out of my own home?
Talk about.
You're a little hussy. I'm taking what's owed to me. Get over here.
What's the difference between 03 and 05 Barney Barnes?
And I let out a scream, stumbled back, tripping over my long skirt. I crawled quickly for the office door as he rushed to the counter. He grabbed my shirt, tearing it down the back as I went to slam the door shut, and I slammed it on his hand, making him scream in pain as I heard the bones break. As he let me go, I managed to finally shut and lock it before going into my boss's office. And as I dialed 911, I could hear him screaming at the office door, kicking as hard as he could to get it open. The operator stayed on the phone with me until the cops arrived. It took 3 grown officers and a taser gun to take him down and get him in the car. In the safe, I was sat down for a statement. My boss and father were called. As my father was getting me into his truck, I heard an officer say that the man was a highly wanted man from Florida who had escaped a psychiatric facility. After he escaped the facility, he went looking for young brunette girls who were heavyset like me, or rather like his late wife. He had killed her and cut out her eyes and breasts, and done the same to 2 other girls in Alabama. So I could only guess he planned to do the same to me. Thank God for strong deadbolts and all of the police officers.
Okay guys, I'm gonna have to stop the video right here.